Grandma Rosen would be really proud and really happy and pleased that we all got together today to kind of remember her. And with that word remember, it brings up a lot of other thoughts about people that aren't here today either, like Grandma and Grandpa Pell, Grandpa George, of course. We would be remiss in not mentioning the Hughes because they're not here, you know, Warren and Marge, and certainly John Blinks is someone to remember. All these people always helped us.
I'm here, don't worry.
No crying. It's not allowed in football.
That's what we do.
But it's just
That's what we
it's just
do.
nice to remember all these people sometimes like this. So. She was going to be 97 today,
Wow.
which was going to be an all-time record. You know, but Grandma was a perseverer, if you can say that, and so I think she down deep wanted to break the family record no matter what, you know. And 96 and a half, I think, is the new record that challenges you all. Right. And I think she was destined to be Aunt Norma come hell or high water. You know, and Grandma didn't give up until it was time to give up, you know, and just within a few weeks before she passed, she was waiting for the next day to happen. So it was quite a lesson in perseverance that way. I thought of a couple stories about perseverance and Grandma, and I guess it was Kathy and I talking about when we first came out here and the garage was being built, and we were moving towards the country, and my mother didn't drive, you know, and ladies in the city didn't drive, and I don't think anybody had a second car, right, and they didn't have to. But one of the funny stories about her persevering was how my father taught her how to drive. And of course it was in the 1948 Plymouth, and it had stick shift. And we used to come out here on a Saturday to Swift Road. And when we got to Army Trail, it was out in the country by then. We were on Lake Street, and then Army Trail merged from Lake Street, and we would head west out to Swift Road.
And west.
And so Fred and I, you know, he's about 6 and I'm about 10. We're in the back seat of a 48 Plymouth, you know, and barely able to see out, you know. But Grandpa Rosen would pull over, and they would switch, and Grandma Rosen would drive from Addison to here. And it just, you know, it kind of makes your heart flutter when you think about it, you know, these many years later, because, you know, you never got a smooth start in a stick shift car from a beginner, so we were, you know, jerking, and my father was, you know, trying to save his life, you know, by asking her to keep the car on the road, and out she'd drive. Well, one Saturday, he must not have been in the mood, you know, and they were a great couple and always got along, but somehow we got to Lake Street and Army Trail, and he didn't pull over. And she said, you know, Ro, I'd like to drive from here. And I don't know what he said. I don't think anybody can quite remember the quote, but he didn't say the right thing. You know, he must have said maybe not today, or maybe tomorrow, or maybe next week, or who knows, whatever. Maybe he was in a hurry to get here to water the tomato plants. But he didn't say the right thing. And we're on Army Trail Road now, and he's driving and hadn't pulled over, and she reaches over and turns off the key.
Oh!
Well, if you've ever been in a stick shift car, when it stops, it doesn't just slide to the, you know. So my father, you know, must have been in shock. Fred and I probably went flying. You get braked immediately, you know. And I remember her sitting there and him saying, "Don't ever do that again. That's dangerous. Don't ever do that again." And she said, "Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have done that."
Row.
I remember Row.
And he pulled over and they switched and she drove to here. You know.
But I'm driving from here.
Perseverance was a good example that day maybe being a little out of control. But it was a good example of Grandma Rosen's
Well,
wanting
how
to
she used
get
to
things
call
done.
him Ro, though.
Ro,
Yeah.
right. Well,
When
his
you said
sisters.
He'd forgotten until then.
You know, and I didn't mention aunts and uncles, and we missed a lot of aunts and uncles when we're remembering people. But of course, Grandma Pell had 13 brothers and sisters, and my dad had 4 other siblings, so we would have been here for a long time if I mentioned all the names. But
We can't
certainly all those people should be remembered too. That was my example of Grandma Rose. There's one other story that I have to tell because Fred's here. And again, we had just moved out. We were in the boonies, and my mother was starting to drive more. We'd go into Lombard once in a while, and she had her route, which wasn't a real curvy route, you know, not to go down St. Charles Road, et cetera, et cetera. But we had neighbors in a house about a block away, the Egglers, and this is by a story only funny to me, and I'll sit down after this. But I liked it because again it was my mother believed in the golden rule, and she taught us never to start a fight and never to be good people. But she also said you don't have to walk away if someone's pushing you around. Stand up for your own. So the Egglers had 2 boys. Jimmy was close to Fred's age, and Bobby was close to my age, and we were maybe 6 and 10. And they used to come over and we'd play, and we'd be playing outside. And word got back that the older one, Bobby, had pushed around Fred. Of course, I couldn't care less. Just get in line, we'll all push him around. but my mother said, if you see Bobby pushing around Fred, give him a whack. Not a push, just give him a whack. So that was like, license to go fishing to a 10-year-old. It was pretty good stuff. And the next day, here comes Bobby and Jimmy. And it didn't take me long to haul off and give him a whack. And Bobby said, well, why'd you do that? I said, well, my mother told me to. I wasn't real subtle about, the understanding that I wasn't supposed to say that part, So Bobby goes running home, and again, about a half a block away. And it doesn't take 10 minutes and the phone's ringing, and Mrs. Eggler wants to know why Grandma Rosen's telling her son to hit her son, the Egler son, And I didn't hear the explanation. I think I was still outside, but nonetheless, we didn't see the Egglers for quite a while. They kind of stayed that way for. But she did believe in sticking up for your own rights, and that was kind of a way.
We don't need no stinking glass, Judy.
So again, with all speeches done with from my side, thank you all for coming.
You okay? A little bit more?
Try to break the
I think
record.
there's one more.